Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to welcome you all to the 2026 Annual General Meeting and Award Ceremony of the Valley Alliance of Worker Cooperatives. My name is Adam Trott. I'm the Executive Director. And as you log on, we'll just get started with a couple of announcements. If you need any assistance, if you're having trouble hearing or anything, just use the chat feature and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. You should find the chat at the top of the navigation bar, the little talk bubble with a couple of lines in it. Today's program is being run as a Teams webinar, so just let me know if you need to be a presenter. We'll have opportunities for questions and dialogue after the impact report, and then of course after our guest speaker, who we're really excited about. And you can use the chat feature for that too, so we can line up questions and try to get to everyone, or at least all the concepts that are being asked about. Today's program is being recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. You can also find recordings of our workshops there. We'd love for you to check those out and let us know what you think. For now, you can also use the chat so you can tell us who you are. Please put in your name, affiliation, pronouns, and any other relevant information you'd like us to have for today. You can put that right in the chat. I want to again thank everybody for coming. And for today's agenda, we'll share our work with you, including our board, intern, and impact reports. We'll go over all the exciting activities we've been doing the past year. And after that, we'll announce winners of our awards. Lastly, we'll close with our guest speaker, Hanan El-Youssef of the Cooperative Development Foundation. Hanan is a wonderful leader in the cooperative world, and it's wonderful to have her joining us. She's actually in between two other events today, so she'll be joining us midway through. The Cooperative Development Foundation is our lead event sponsor, so special thanks to them. I also want to thank our lead sponsors, River Valley Co-op, Cooperative Fund of the Northeast. Sorry for the historical mess up there, Rebecca. Cooperative Fund of the Northeast, International Center for Cooperative Management at St. Mary's University, where I and a couple of others here have taken educational classes, Freedom Credit Union and Shared Capital Cooperative. I just want to thank all of our sponsors, and really thanks to everyone, all this group of sponsors, because you've kept these events easier to provide and provided resources for us. So first, we have an announcement about our board. Congratulations to Charity Zeleny of Number Knot Studios for her re-election to our board of directors. And we're very appreciative of her contribution and experience. Typically not a big self-promoter, but I just wanted to give a minute in case you wanted to say anything. No, okay. We're really lucky to have Charity and everyone on the board's support. VAWC is a cooperative itself and is owned and controlled by our members. We are rooted in the ideals of cooperation, mutuality, and solidarity. We are ourselves an expression of the cooperative principles and values, a co-op of worker co-ops. So again, all of our supporters and sponsors are really supportive and helpful for us, so we can remain to be and mostly in control of our members. They decide where we go, who we partner with, and what kind of progress we take on. We come together as a means of strengthening the efforts of our individual co-ops to develop their businesses, serve their members, and contribute to a wider cooperative economy. We're fortunate to have a group of leaders as our representatives in our meetings and on our board, all of whom is here today. And our first report will be from our democratically elected board. I'd like to introduce Larissa Demos. Larissa is a founding member of Flatiron Coffee House Cooperative, has been in other worker cooperatives before. Larissa, can I hand it to you?
Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. A common theme of our reports this past several years have been many challenges to our co-ops and communities, both near and far. The push for economic justice, equality in the workplace, and democracy has gone from a challenging conversation, which we're proud to be a part of, to a battleground as costs rise, incomes stagnate, and working conditions suffer, and the tensions in between. VAWC members keep rising to these challenges, innovating and proving that they are part of creating a better world. This past year, we had 8 members, and we continue to work on 2 conversions. Nationally, co-ops have grown faster than conventional small businesses, including an increase in the number of employees and diversity of workers and members. Regional associations like us are the lead in supporting these co-ops to increase their impact. VAWC supports our members to be able to do this work with technical assistance, educational events, legislative engagement, and peer-to-peer support is one of our cornerstones. One of our most recent workshops on effective governance and accountability was a great success, sharing expertise from several co-ops. We continue to lead the fight for supportive legislation along with the Coalition for Worker Ownership and Power to help prevent the loss of jobs in community. Our intern this year researched the impact that our co-ops have in our community, showing that since 2008.
And you seem really lovely, so I think
VAWC co-ops have retained $486,000 in our communities through surplus, have made $65,000 in charitable donations, and have spent $325,000 in other co-ops. So we'd like to thank all of our members, affiliate sponsors, and supporters for another year of working for a co-op economy. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Larissa, and welcome other attendees. Great to have you here. We are going to go right from Larissa to said intern. David is with us today. Welcome, David. It's great to have you here. And David's going to share with us the work that he's been doing. And just to add a little context for David, we have been part of the Cooperative Enterprise Collaborative, along with the Neighboring Food Co-op Association, since 2010. And we've had a number of interns. We'll talk about that a little bit. These interns have been really critical in providing data collection, data provision, and materials that we use to promote our activities. A lot of the materials we had for our legislative push last year was from an intern. And David this year has done a lot of work with the data we've collected over the past 20 years from our members. So David, please take it away.
Thank you, Adam. I will, you good with this up here? Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
Just tell me when to go to the next slide.
It's great to be here, everyone, and let's get right into it. A little bit of background on me. I'm a sophomore at UMass, as Adam was saying. I'm an economics major. I'm taking this internship as part of my applied research certificate in cooperative enterprises. I'm a member of the UMass Economics Club. I'm a peer advisor. I'm a debate participant. And right now, I'm the economic research intern for VAWC. That's a little bit about me. We can move to the next slide. Thank you. I know a lot is going on here. Just bear with me for a second. If you can see on the left of the screen here, we have 281 people right next to 2. So that 281 there represents the amount of people that need to work 1 hour to equal the pay that the top earner makes in traditional American CEO-run businesses. It's a 281-to-1 ratio. In worker co-ops, that's numbers are much smaller, 1.44 you can see. And this was probably the most staggering data I've come across in the last couple of months. I thought, I didn't realize that the gap was that high, and it struck me for some time. I think this goes to show that worker ownership is one of the ways to put more money into the worker's pocket in a way not to contribute to the rising wealth gap that we have in America. And so I think this is one of, if not the best arguments in support of worker co-ops. Can we go next slide, Adam? Thank you. So as I alluded to previously, worker co-ops pay their employees a higher ownership, right? So the top 3 states with the most worker co-ops are New York, California, and Massachusetts. I don't think it's any coincidence that they're also top 10 in the average net worth by state for their citizens, right? As people are making a significant share of that surplus of their firm, they're going to have more money. And this is just, I think it goes to show the benefit of worker co-ops in a community. Can we go to the next slide? VAWC here, we have, I believe, 7 co-ops in Massachusetts and 1 in Vermont. Is that correct? So that is 7 from the 3rd highest state and territory and 1 from the 8th. I think that is representative that VAWC is really doing a lot to support co-ops in their highest sector in America, right? We have, I believe it's 4 states here from the Northeast, and that's what we're looking to do, is just to provide more for states around us. Next slide, please. Thank you. So you might have seen this on the VAWC website. This is a lot of what I worked on this year. I think what sticks out the most to me here is this top number here. Massachusetts unemployment compared to the United States is 11% greater. And that's just not something that should be happening in such an economically sound state. The unemployment should be much lower. And so that is obviously worker co-ops and worker ownership have a higher share of job growth. We'll get into that a little bit in the next slide, but that is something that can provide more jobs to the economy. Another thing that stuck out to me are these bottom two numbers here: businesses in the Northeast with no succession plan, and Massachusetts small businesses that do not sell, both of them over 80%. This just shows that when you have so many businesses owned by an aging generation, you can see that third number there, businesses owned by people 50 plus, it's not a great succession plan. It's a way businesses die. It's a way the economy starts to flop a little bit over time when you don't have worker ownership shared with a good succession plan like worker co-ops do. Can we hit the next slide? A little bit here is why worker co-ops are a solution. The other part of that graph I showed previously, we have a much higher survival rate to the 10th year. There's less pulling turnover, and there's always a succession plan. When there's not one owner, everybody's an owner, things move on generation to generation, and that's what's strong for the economy. Another thing I wanted to point out is these bottom two stats, which I really like a lot. It is higher ownership among people of color and higher ownership among women. That is something that we do not see in CEO-owned businesses. So I really love that representation in co-ops as a more accepting community. And I think that's strong. I think that really attracts a lot of people in the workforce. That's just another positive to co-ops. Can we hit the next slide? Great. And this one here is my last slide. I think this is a great graph to show a little bit closer to home. This is total surplus year to year. As you can see, there's a very constant increase. And 2024 did have the highest growth of any year over a decade. And that's incredible. We are almost at 500,000, which I think is great. And so that goes to everybody here. That is all your guys' hard work paying off. So congratulations to that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the 2025 data, which is coming shortly. Yeah, that is my last slide. That's all I have for now. Does anyone have any questions or comments they can share?
Yeah, we'd love to just take a moment if someone wants to ask David a question specifically about some of these numbers. A few of these we'll share a little bit later too, but any questions for David or thoughts for David?
Hey, David, what are your primary data sources for getting these numbers?
Sure. If you could, Adam, could you go back to the third slide, I believe? We use right here. It's the, I just couldn't remember. It's a Democracy at Work Institute and U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives provide a state of the sector every year. So that's just, it's a little bit of a PDF about a ton of stats and stuff. I've looked up a lot from the Federal Reserve on small business data in Massachusetts. They publish that every year. And so between those two and then a little bit of just ownership and pay scales that you can find online have been my primary sources of data.
That's so cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to back David up a little bit too. We have added, David's work has added a couple of significant pieces of information, the comparison in ownership, for example, which is dramatically bent towards white men and straight white men. And that a lot of that was found from David's research, as he said, in the state by state information from the Fed. But I did just drop our fact sheet that we had from our legislative push, and that's got a bunch of sources in it too. And that's got from State of the Sector, from the US Federation, as well as a number of other pieces where we really tried to build an argument about what worker cooperatives are doing.
I have a question for David.
Great.
David, was there something that you particularly found surprising or interesting in your research?
Yeah, I think the thing that surprised me most was the success rate that co-ops have over a long time. And I learned this a little bit. I'm currently taking a class, Economics of Cooperative Enterprises, and co-ops have a higher success rate than small businesses, which is not something I expected. I expected co-ops to be a little bit like get it going and sometimes just doesn't last, while small businesses, you have one owner super dedicated to it, and that's just not the case. When you have more people working towards something with a combined goal, with a little bit of a piece of their heart into it, that is something that comes together and it succeeds more in small businesses. And so that shocked me, but the more I think about it, the more it really makes sense.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions for David? And well, I have more time later too, in case you think of one. David, thanks so much. And
Yeah, thank you.
and I also just want to say that David was not just great in talking about this data, but on a tight timeline. When David first started in January, February, we were in the throes of trying to really push our work for the opportunity to own legislation. And Ethan Tupelo, I'm just going to offer anytime you want to jump in on that. We'll talk about legislation in a moment, but Ethan's been incredible joining, as well as Larissa doing a lot of work. Ethan's been attending meetings for a couple of years to try to really make sure that the voice of worker cooperatives is there, and we couldn't be more thankful. Okay, we'll have time for more questions later. We did just want to share a couple of our activities before we talk about awards and have Hanan join us. Special thanks to Larissa for providing a lot of the photos that were taken for this. Technical assistance, or jargon for supporting each other, supporting our businesses, supporting cooperatives, is one of the main reasons we were founded. And we're really lucky to have representation here from Nebernot and Collective Cleaners and Collective Gardeners. We're really happy to work with them. It's a real joy to connect cooperatives that are forming, as well as those that are converting or in any stage of their life cycle, to our system. And we're really happy to say that we're working on our 11th conversion. It's been really especially rewarding to be working on technical assistance provision for a couple of our members that are specific to them and their needs. We're working with meeting design, we're working with member education, we're working with development and how to maintain an engaged membership. Those are great. And of course, all our meetings, we've got really, they're built around making sure people know what's going on in our system, as well as with each other's cooperatives, and also to have a mastermind session where they get to ask any question they want in a sort of in a safe, supportive environment. David was just one example of why education is important to us. We hold workshops. We do specific workshops with our members if they have a bunch of new employees. We are always happy to present with them. We've got things that we've built over the years about participation in co-op history that we work with them all the time. We had our 8th workshop, our annual workshop series that's really built by and for working cooperatives. This was a wonderful year talking about effective governance. That was meeting design, that was membership agreements, accountability. You can find that on our YouTube channel too. And we'll also, because of the proceeds from our VAWC fund, which we'll talk about, we will be sponsoring one full registration for the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives conference that's happening in Boston this year. That'll be September, I believe it's the 25th and 26th, but it's a Friday, Saturday in Boston, or 2 half registrations, which we've done in the past. We're really excited about that. And then, go back one second. Please join us next year for that workshop. It's one of our annual moments where we get to see a lot of people that we don't always see. Of course, special thanks to our representatives and board members. David already talked about some of this data, and I just want to thank David again for acting fast to support our legislation, but for just working with raw spreadsheets that I have that I did not formulate into anything that was at all appealing to the eye. So I just want to thank David for acting quickly to have us have data to present. We just have 3 slides on this. We don't want to bludgeon you with numbers over a slideshow, but we're really kind of excited to see some of the numbers that we have since we started collecting just a couple of pieces of data since 2008, when we formalized and started having dues and everything. The charitable contributions and surplus of VAWC members is exciting to us because that's dollars that stay in our community. They're with our co-op members, they're with co-ops, they're retaining earnings, and they're with our communities through activities. And typically in a traditionally run business, that might be gone from the community or region altogether, or that might just be kind of siloed to one individual. So we're really thrilled about the impact of those numbers. We wanted to talk about inter-cooperative purchases too. And we always see for those of us who are looking at economics and finance industry, there's always these multipliers. You have multiple. This is why credit unions are so much better than banks. Your money stays much more local. They don't have offshore accounts. And the things that VAWC members are doing, sharing their business with each other, which is the graph on the right, and then sharing their business with a bunch of other cooperatives is something that I'm particularly happy about. It's really exciting to see that, where those dollars are going right to another cooperative and then they're going from there somewhere else. I'm also particularly happy about the growth in VAWC member use that's experienced the past couple of years, where it went from a small number, although sometimes I think people are using it and not remembering, but in any event, this isn't the numbers we can prove. Just a couple of things on our Intercooperative Development Fund. This was really found part of our founding, and we were inspired by the Italian model where 3% of all surplus goes to a fund throughout the country if you are a cooperative. And VAWC members do 5%. We've done really great things. We do have a little bit of a report about that a little bit, but I wanted to share some of those numbers. And part of the goal of this fund is really emergency kind of micro lending. We have had a couple of loans, including with some co-ops here, that weren't emergency, but they're really small. These are like $2,000 to $7,000 to $8,000. And just to try to add on to something for a co-op that is either small or perhaps even in partnership with other lenders, such as Cooperative Fund of the Northeast. And that's something we're really happy about, to provide a little bit of gap funding that is sympathetic to the cooperative model, and in fact, really supportive of it. So we've had 5 loans from the fund, and that's been one of the successes of that cornerstone of our activities. We also think raising awareness is a huge part of our mission at the Valley Alliance. Last year was a really important year because it was the 2nd International Year of Cooperatives by the United Nations. And we acted on that through our socials a lot. We did over 50 posts, over 3 platforms to highlight our members as far as what they were doing. And we used the Sustainable Development Goals. Those are the funny colored squares on the top of the collective copies post you have there. The Sustainable Development Goals are a big part of the UN's way of trying to identify big problems globally in our society and culture and economy. And this way we united the activities of what our members were doing with these larger issues. And we tagged and posted with the UN and Sustainable Development Goals accounts to say, hey, we're working on this. We also do other annual activities, radio ads. We're on Bill Newman's annual Co-op Roundtable. Shout out to WHMP. And we also have, thanks to Larissa, who's doing great visuals for Shop Co-op during those high peak seasons. We want to make sure people use co-ops as much as they can. I'm going to give you just a little brief financial report. We've done a bunch of research on this recently, and David's helped with that to make sure that our numbers are in order. And of course, we have bookkeepers and tax preparers, but we just wanted to give you an idea of what's going on so you know what's up with your regional worker co-op association. We do have a member approved budget. That's something we're really proud of. We just approved the budget for the next year that starts May 1st. Our capacity grew in 2025 and 2026, much due to a grant from one project. And we're really thankful to them for supporting us and really providing an added capacity so we could support 2 conversions at once. That was a big part of it. And also to do the push for the legislation that we co-wrote and worked with Coalition for Worker Ownership and Power. So our VAWC fund did increase the 5% there. We have a direct loan out to one of our members. That's in good standing. We were able to grow our impact for how we have investments from our retained earnings and the VAWC fund, and 2 funds, CF&E and Shared Capital. Legislation was a big part of our year last year, and it's sometimes sad to think that we didn't get this bill passed. I just want to offer, as someone who used to do some legislative activity and was someone who was getting out the vote before being engaged in worker cooperatives, it's so rare to have a bill pass the first year. I really want to thank especially the board and a couple of people on the board who really supported our legislation. Again, Ethan, Larissa, but everyone was really engaged on this, and probably the largest piece of dialogue I had with a bunch of members. And I think that shows how we are trying to bring the message to larger populations. Just to be in the ear of some of these legislators, I think was a big deal. And you can find out more about this bill, which right now will be revised for the next session. It was not approved in committee, did not get by its first committee. But we did learn a lot about the process. We learned about some numbers that will be challenging for us to reach, but not impossible. So we're really excited about that. And again, David's worked with that. just wanted to spend one moment making sure Ethan and Larissa didn't want to weigh in on anything. Okay, but this will be a fun piece of conversation if you wanted to share later. Okay, that is most of our presentation, and we wanted to move this towards our awards for now. I thought there was going to be a little bit more with legislative questions. Before we go to the award ceremony, we wanted to open it up. Welcome to a couple of people. We wanted to open it up to any questions we have from our attendees. This could be on the board report, David's work, anything that I presented. And you can just unmute and ask. You're gonna make this easy? You're gonna make it that easy?
Okay.
Yes, Larissa.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Larissa, go
okay.
ahead.
Okay. Okay.
Is it Larissa that?
No, please.
What? Okay, no.
Please go.
I was going to ask about if there's any other worker co-ops that you know of in the works at this time, or maybe that's not something to share. I don't know.
private information.
Maybe just do you have others that you are working with at a potential?
We are working with two conversions. One is essentially kind of legally completed, but we want to do more work, and that is Number Not, where Charity Works. JC is also, they're a member of Number Not. And then Collective Cleaners, Collective Gardeners, and we've got a couple of people from there too. That's Leah, Ren, and V. So any of you are welcome to just say a word if you like. But conversions has been something that even I have been surprised about the number of conversions we've supported since 2008, and it's been a real source of productivity and joy for us. So, oh, hey, what's up, Seth? So, okay, just a little context. Tell me if I'm wrong, I first met with Seth and Leah 2018. I think it was before COVID, because we met in person at Essalon, right?
Yeah, that was 2017.
Yeah, 2017. Okay. So some of these things, the conversations are not, immediate. And of course, these decisions are really gigantic in these businesses. But yeah, if anyone wants to say anything about the conversion process, or we also have some other conversions that are in the room, say anything if you like.
I mean, so for us, like, Number Not existed for quite a while before becoming a cooperative, but like we wouldn't have been able to make that happen just in terms of like time and knowledge. Just we didn't know enough to be like, hey, how do we make this actually a thing? We always had that goal, but it was VAWC was super helpful, and Adam like helped us so much in turning our what was effectively a bunch of contractors into something that was actually like a collaborative, legally useful company. And Charity's been also a huge part of that. Like they were a part of another cooperative before joining Number Not, and a lot of that institutional knowledge has just been so helpful in navigating all of this.
Thanks, JC. It's very, very kind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a pleasure. It still is a pleasure working with your group. And they were, JC and Kevin, I think you were part of a housing co-op before you were part of a worker co-op. Is that right?
That is correct. As it turns out, when you work together, a lot of things get easier, and like shared resources let us help each other get better and do things. Yeah.
Well, it was actually surprisingly helpful for me because I could say things like bylaws and articles and even specific things within those documents that I remember finding really intimidating, but was something that was really familiar to JC and Kevin and everybody else at Number Not. But JC, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything else about the conversion process or just thoughts for collective cleaners.
Overall, I would say that at the outset, the paperwork can look intimidating. There is stuff to do in terms of actual work to make sure that everything is in order. But when you get down to it, it's actually not that hard. And again, if you have a cooperative and everyone is bought into the idea, it's actually surprisingly easy to get through that stuff. Especially if you have outside guidance like Adam and like VAWC.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we're
JC. That's
finding
very, very kind.
as we're actually doing the transition now and not just thinking about it,
Mhm.
it seems to be a lot less intimidating to folks who were really apprehensive about the idea initially. And now they're just kind of like, oh, this is fine. I don't know why I was so scared of this, seems to be the vibe. And the reason we were late is we were doing an interview with a new potential employee who's like really excited about making this a career and being part of a cooperative. And then we got our new logo and we won Best in the Valley, and it's all very exciting this year. It just feels like it's all coming together. So it's been fun.
Congratulations on Best in the Valley.
Yeah,
Didn't even know.
congrats.
Yeah, and I wanted to add too, just as a note on like the process of transitioning into a co-op as well. Like I wanted to reiterate too, we've had it's really nice to have this really nicely put together rubric that we can have the language to put onto systems that we kind of already have in place, but in order to like, it's been nice to have like the extra language in order to blossom that out into something that's a little bit more sustainable and also like more approachable in community, as far as like, yeah, knowing what bylaws mean, knowing what all of this other stuff means. It's been really nice to have that guidance, especially because we've been doing things our own way, and a lot of it really aligns with the way that co-ops work. But like now having that ability to solidify down into that has been really lovely.
Thanks for those words, V. This was part of what we were founded to do, so it's really great to work with people. And I was just on the telephone today with a new inquiry, interested in forming one. So it's really great to be part of something that's growing like this. More comments about conversions or thoughts on that? Really fun to work together. Looking forward to our next meeting with moving things forward. I did just want to thank Larissa for mentioning not everyone is psyched to share when their machinery breaks down, because some people take that the wrong way. But Larissa, I remember getting a call from you. I think it was December 27th about your espresso machine, and I was like, that's kind of odd. Like we're in touch and we text, but is it like it's after Christmas? Did I miss solstice this year? There's something like that. But we were able to get funds to Larissa really quickly, and that was really great. And that's why I think there was one year where we had a picture of espresso machine like 14 times throughout our materials, and that was why. So that was we're really happy about that. That's kind of what this fund was made for, to fill gaps really quickly where we support our co-op funds. We have only intentions of working with them and are thrilled to recommend our members and everyone who talks to us to use co-op funds. But yeah, just to be able to fill that gap was really great. Any other questions on the presentation or any of the presenters? Okay. And of course, we can have questions as we're giving out the awards. So we just kind of, we know that awards can be a bit funny because it's not exactly, it's not is it a values overlap for us to have awards when we're flat, non-hierarchical, but there are just people who have done great work for us over the years, and as small as it might be, we just wanted to give some kind of recognition to them. And this is just a moment for us to reflect and thank them. And, for a lot of people, for everyone on this call, it's just another day and you're going to do more work tomorrow. But we just wanted to take a moment to thank a couple of groups. And we actually named these awards really intentionally, although it's been a couple of years. Maybe we should revisit these. Jesse Owens was, of course, a Black athlete who went to Germany for the Olympics and was the first person to win 4 medals, and did so in an environment that was, of course, really hostile. That's kind of a beautiful story if you check it out. But we named an award after Jesse Owens for the co-op that submits their payments the fastest. And this is not, we understand that not all co-ops can do that right away, but for us as a co-op, it helps us kind of keep that going, to keep operations going during a time when the budget is almost out from the previous year's dues. So we would like to thank Compost Cooperative. They've been really fantastic. We will probably be mailing all of these things, and I think I'm noticing that we don't have a representative today, so that's always fun. But we're really happy with to just share this moment with Compost Cooperative, who's been great, and they are also hiring, so check that out. It's fun to have 2 co-ops in the group that are hiring. In fact, I think 3. Larissa, you also still hiring for Flatiron? Okay, so we got 3 members that are hiring. That's really great. Okay, we have one named after Emilia Romagna, which is a region in Italy where we already talked about Italian model a little bit. And Suzette has been a recipient of this award 14 or 15 times, as well as NFCA. And we want to give this award to River Valley Co-op. River Valley has been a fantastic supporter of ours over the years, and Natasha at River Valley, who I believe began at front end. I remember going in the first day, and I think she was just working at the register, took herself to school, worked in marketing, and is now really part of their leadership team. And I believe is on the board of CFNE. Is that right, Rebecca? Yeah. So Natasha is really a great example of these cooperative economies working together, and we'll send that award to them. We have the last one, which is a little bit sentimental for me. Julie Graham was a writer and a leader in the solidarity economy world in our part of the world, and we lost her sadly in the 2009, but wrote a lot about cooperatives. As someone I learned about cooperatives from for the first time in 1999. And the thing that we all remembered about Julie was that she was just always enjoyable, even in the middle of difficult meetings, and could work a meeting like nobody else. It was like an artist. This year, we wanted to give the award to Sarah Acefa, who is part of the Coalition of Worker Ownership and Power. And we were really happy to work with COWOP over these years, especially this year with legislation. It's been a real gift for us to be able to have Sarah and Alex over there, and because it was really fun this year because they know more people in the Boston metro area, and then we get to have our membership and connections in Western Mass to work on these. So that's been really fantastic. That is our award ceremony. And I didn't know if anyone, not that we have a lot of former winners here. You want to do any handoffs? I think half of you. I think Pedal People was our winner last year of the paying your dues. Anyway, Ethan, I'm going to give you one last chance to talk about the work you're doing in the Office of the Mass CEO, because there's something up right now to contact people, right? Is that all right to put you on the spot like that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, so for those who don't know, as I think part of my extended roles with being on the VAWC board, I've also been serving on the Massachusetts board of Employee Ownership Advisory Board, which is an official state board advising on lots of different forms of employee ownership, but primarily to advise the relatively new reconstituted Massachusetts Center for Employee Ownership. The center is finally looks like it's going to be rolling out its plan to help fund with technical assistance for worker co-op and employee ownership in general conversions. So basically with the pilot program, they're looking to fund up to 50% of the costs of all of the assistance that's provided for converting to worker co-op. So of course, VAWC does a lot of that work, as we just heard in that overview, for people in Western Mass. So that would be great if that funding can start going out not just to us, but also to other similar organizations throughout Massachusetts. The state has done this weird thing since reconstituting the center and also forming this board where they created it, but they've never provided any type of permanent funding for it. So each year we've had to basically fight in the legislative cycle for it to get just like a relatively meager amount of money, like 200 or $300,000, which is, I mean, it's something, but it's next to nothing for a state agency. So really just trying to keep basic operations going. But even with that, most of the money is slated to be used to help with employee ownership conversion. So at the moment we're trying to get a earmark in the Massachusetts budget, which is currently in the House. So we kind of have a call to action for that of contacting your legislators to tell them to support a particular bill amendment for that. I don't have the number right in front of me. I wasn't prepared for that, but I can figure that out in just a minute and put it in the chat for people to support. And then beyond that, we'll also probably need a similar push in a few weeks to get it through on the Senate side. Yeah, happy to answer any questions with any of that also.
Yeah, I think we've got, and welcome Hanan, great to have you here. We're just about to finish up. Ethan, I think I've got the, I think I have the link that Alex Papali sent out. So I just want to drop that in the chat.
Yeah, that's even better.
Okay. Nope, hold on. Okay. Yeah, this is, and I'll put in the amendments that we're talking about too. This has been a great development for us. A lot of the times that, because the Valley Alliance is a co-op, it's not a nonprofit. Sometimes the programs we've been supporting have not actually been something we can benefit from, which that's fine with us. We don't get to benefit every time we do anything. But this is a great opportunity for us to actually be a part of something that has been taken a couple of years to really come together. So, and again, special thanks to Ethan. There's a number of people here who went to a legislative brunch and have been engaged legislatively. Ben and Larissa, again, are also part of that. But it's really because we're working together as an association that I think people are really listening more. So that's something that's really exciting. Any questions about that now that we gave Ethan a moment to talk about legislation?
I have a question.
Please.
As far as getting more involved and knowing more about the legislative side of things, is that something that gets sent out in the newsletter, or is that something that we would specifically ask you, Ethan, about?
Well, you're always welcome to ask me. I try to update the VAWC board and at the regular membership meetings that we have every other month about what's going on. Adam would probably know better off the top of his head what's in the newsletter. But yeah, and if people wanted to get more involved than just knowing what's going on, like most of our meetings that I've been doing with the Co-op Coalition, we almost entirely meet online. So even from Western Mass or Vermont, you can still participate in those if you're interested.
Awesome.
I'm happy to set you up with that if anyone's interested.
Lovely to know. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and V, if you have questions, I'll put my email in the chat. You can just email me. We do have things in our newsletter, but it's only like quarterly, so it's not like always the most up to date.
Yeah, no, I'm particularly just interested in the legislative aspect of like trying to get state funding. Like, what does that look like? What needs to happen there? Even if I can't personally like help with a lot of it, I probably know people who can, and so I'm just really interested in seeing where I can plug in networking wise.
Thanks so much, V. And just so you know, if we do have anything where it's like, hey, contact your legislator, we'll send that out. So today we're using a moment to share about this latest one for these two amendments that were filed that we hope make it in to the bill, to the budget.
Awesome.
And I will add that this phase of the process is now open and it's going quickly. So if you are going to call about these specific issues, do it like basically tomorrow, because they're gonna it's going to be finalized after that. Yeah.
Heard.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ethan. Okay. Hanan, I just want to take a moment to introduce Hanan, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to work with Hanan over a couple of years now. And Hanan has a ton of experience in the cooperative sector, has worked in a number of places that I have a lot of respect for and that do a lot of work for the cooperative economy. And it was great to be able to work with the Cooperative Development Foundation. Sorry that that's actually spelled wrong on Hanan's thing about being a program director, but to work with CDF for this event and to be able to work with them over a couple of years where they've supported us with work that we were working with the Secretary of State in Vermont, where last we knew you had to drive to Montpelier with a hard copy of Articles of Incorporation in order to incorporate as a cooperative. We're working with them on that. It's a long process, but we've done education in that office. And CDF has done a number of things with us over the past couple of years. Without further ado, Hanan, thanks so much for taking time in your busy schedule. Welcome. I've got your slides ready to go.
Hi, Adam. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. It's really a pleasure and an honor. I come from co-op association work, so I really believe in the value of co-op associations. I love what Valley is doing, and I'm really pleased to be here with you to help talk about my current employer, which is the Cooperative Development Foundation, as Adam mentioned, and just share a little bit about what we do. And Adam, the first part of my, we can not share the slides for a minute if that's okay until I start to talk about our strategic plan, if that's all right. So we can kind of enjoy being in the same virtual space together. So the Cooperative Development Foundation is, as its name implies, a small foundation that helps support the development of cooperative businesses in the United States and in North America. We are a sister organization to NCBA, the National Cooperative Business Association, which is Valley Alliance of Worker Co-ops on the national USA scale. So the National Co-op Business Association for co-ops across all sectors and typologies. We work very closely with them together to help support domestic cooperative development in the United States. And we do that with a variety of different ways. We have programmatic work that we do, and I'll talk most about that later. And we also have funds that are there to support cooperative development and cooperative education. And so we have two main funds, the Cooperative Development Fund and the Cooperative Education Fund, that are available to support all kinds of activity. And I would just encourage you to peruse our website and learn more about those. I want to get it on your radar that we're here for you in that regard. As you know, you are out there doing the work of cooperation, no matter the sector that you're in. I know you're all worker co-ops, so that's great. But we do have a variety of different kinds of funding opportunities that can help support your work and also help support individuals to continue learning about how to do co-op business. So if you have an opportunity that you want to be pursuing, but your worker co-op doesn't necessarily have professional development funds, there are ways we also support individuals to keep that learning going through our grant making work. We also apply for grants to people who have way more money than we do because it's a modest foundation. And our ethos and approach for applying for grant money is to be a pass-through. I mean, we don't want to be a pass-through, but we know that some organizations either need fiscal sponsorship or don't want to or cannot yet take on the administrative burden of big grants, particularly government grants. So CDF has a history and legacy of going after bigger dollar or bigger pots and then funneling that through and getting it right back out the door and into the sector and into the hands of co-ops directly or co-op support organizations. So that could be a regional association like Valley Alliance. It could be a cooperative development center that does technical assistance and business development services with co-ops. A variety of different kinds of organizations have partnered with us on these grants. And so that's another big sort of chunk of work we do. And then the last, I would say, 20 years or so, CDF used to kind of pick a sector and focus on it. And by sector, I mean an industry within our economy. So the co-op business community in the United States would organically kind of identify either a big area of opportunity or a big area of need, or a big area of both opportunity and need. And CDF would do a little bit of research and decide to invest in that particular area, but do so thoughtfully and in a sustained manner over a period of time to really help get that work going and up and off the ground, get momentum, get network building, and also make sure that, we're not just coming in, swooping in with a one and done deal and then leaving you in the lurch thereafter. So we have a legacy of this sector-based work in the home care industry, which is a marketplace in the United States that is completely taken over by really predatory middlemen who squeeze patients and families out of every dollar they'll pay, especially by squeezing workers out of decent wages and decent workplace practices. And there was an opportunity and a burgeoning of worker co-ops starting up around the country so that home care workers could really band together and just protect their labor, literally and figuratively, in material and immaterial ways. And so we dedicated 10 plus years of work and support and service to that sector and got it to a place where they felt ready to create their own national level secondary co-op. So that's where they are. We've also done work with different models of co-ops, resident-owned communities of manufactured homes, limited equity co-ops, et cetera, around permanently affordable housing. So those are two sectors where we've been dedicating some attention. We did at the beginning of this year, however, adopt a new strategic framework for the organization, which marks kind of a new chapter for CDF. So we're pivoting towards a different approach to how we want to continue supporting co-ops across North America, moving away from that sector-based work where we really take a sector and deep dive into it. And we're actually leaning kind of in the opposite direction and wanting to leverage cross-sector-based work. So the Cooperative Development Foundation has been around since 1944, even though it has evolved in name and shape since then. And we have these really long-standing historic relationships with organizations that serve different sectors: agriculture, finance, banking, credit unions, et cetera. And we thought we could better leverage the fact that we sit in the middle of many of these kinds of relationships that are otherwise siloed, and wanting to really try to bridge that cross-sector, cross-pollination that can be a sweet spot and help really, maximize what co-ops can actually do on the ground. And so, Adam, if it's okay now, maybe we can pull up those slides and I'll use them as my cheat sheet to just share with you where we are now. I wanted to mention the legacy of the sector-based work because so much of that has been towards and for and with worker co-ops. And I know you all are worker co-ops. And so just not allowed, this is off the record, that we do have a very special sweet spot for worker co-ops at CDF. But under this new strategic framework, we reestablished our vision. And our vision is a world in which everyone can address their needs, pursue their aspirations, build shared wealth, and thrive in community. And we are approaching this work, of course, continuing to do the grant making that we do through our funds, but also through programmatic activity, which we've organized into 3 strategic pillars. And Adam, I'll ask you to please go to the next slide. We have a theory of change here, which I'm not going to belabor. It's there for you. I'm happy to talk more about it if this is of interest. We can go on to the next slide. Please, Adam, I want to get to the strategic pillars. So we've got these 3 main areas where we're organizing our work. The first one is, and I'll just say that, a pause here, sorry, just to say that our strategic framework was built through we did the tally, and of course now I can't remember the number, but between 50 and 75 conversations with co-operators all across the country from all different kinds of sectors, from research institutions, from small co-ops, from big ones. We had this massive sort of listening tour, a series of conversations that we had with people one-on-one in small groups to listen to what the sector needs, to listen to what the sector felt and thought about CDF, how CDF was understood and received, whether it was understood what we could do, whether we understood what folks wanted and needed us to do. And that informed and shaped our strategic framework and the umbrella of capacity building being sort of the umbrella that we live under at CDF, that we're here to build the capacity of the co-op movement. And these 3 strategic pillars are the way that we forged to move that forward. So the first one is focused on investing in outreach, cross-sector outreach and leadership development. And in this particular pillar, we're kind of focusing on individuals, not exclusively. There's some organization-based work here, but these are programmatic opportunities for folks to really get involved as people. And I'll come back to this. This is where we're going to spend most time. The second is rallying around organizations that serve co-ops. So really investing into strengthening the national co-op support system and aligning the co-op support organizations that support co-op businesses across the country. We are doing this now by bringing together grant makers, lenders, researchers, and co-op development and co-op support organizations, co-op development centers. So those are the 3 sort of organizations that we're focusing on right now in this first phase. And then the third strategic pillar is a desire for us to identify, uplift, and learn alongside place-based demonstrations of co-op ecosystems. So pillar 1 is individuals, pillar 2 is organizations, pillar 3 is the community, the ecosystem. So we are looking at some place-based regions that might be just a city, it could be statewide, or it could be a constellation of places across multiple states. We have a short list of different places we're thinking about right now, and some are cities, some are states, and some are multi-state regions where there is dynamic co-op ecosystem work happening. And we're not looking to, as a national level player, what can we come in and tell you about Massachusetts? Y'all are the ones, I think I just overheard you talking about lobbying and making headway to your state legislature. You know that best. We're not going to get in the way there, but we want to learn alongside, uplift your wins, help turn your challenges into lessons learned for other places to reproduce, or skip the hard stuff and have a leg up, that kind of thing. And if and where we can, as a national level player, actually support, then we'll do that. But it would be very place-based. Our role in these interventions would be determined by local players. We're really early stages on this. We're still just kind of exploring different spaces and researching that. So we're not yet green light go over there. We're really doing some recon. but that's that third piece of work. And all of it being as cross-sector as it can possibly be, because we want co-ops talking to each other. And off the record, this is my personal individual spice I'm going to add to it. I think most often it's the notion of really getting the co-ops with the dough and the clout that may or may not come with it to meet the co-ops that need it, and for there to be this kind of solidarity that gets bridged across the sector. So we would love to play a role and help make that more possible. I'm going to pause because I'm talking really fast and throwing a bunch of stuff at you. I do want to take a little bit of time to talk more about some opportunities, some work that we're doing in the first one, cross-sector outreach and leadership development and around co-op education. But before I pivot to that, I want to just pause, sit in uncomfortable silence, open it up for questions, comments. Adam, redirect me. How am I doing? Does this feel good? Does anybody have some immediate burning questions or needs?
So, as you're speaking, you've mentioned a number of times off the record, and I wanted to ask, like, what some of the challenges you've encountered with getting those two disparate types of groups or two groups with different expectations. Like, how have you worked through that, and like, what are some of the things that we could possibly learn from those experiences you've had?
Sure. Can I ask a clarifying question? Which two groups or which groups?
Oh, this last one was, the co-ops with more financial ability and those with less. But like, off the record indicates that oftentimes you're dealing with multiple groups that have different expectations of how to how to solve this problem. Like, what are the useful points where we can be like, hey, oh yeah, like other people have done it this way, and we can learn from that.
That is such a beautiful question. Thank you so much. And I mean, the short answer and the summary is I don't know yet. So I think that an issue that I think is often in the room, whether that is explicitly stated or not, is risk. How is risk defined? And how do older, more established, and often wealthier organizations see identify risk in smaller, more fledgling, more radical types of co-op work? And I think that is often what is a barrier to goodwill turning into action when it comes to bringing groups together that come from sort of different sides of the co-op experience. I worked for a really long time in international co-op association work, and we had a similar issue there that I think is just like part and parcel of the world we live in. And it's our co-ops, just one other business model that exists in the marketplace, status quo. Call that what you will, neoliberal capitalism, fascism, corporatocracy, fill in the blank on what you want to call that. Our co-op's just one other business model that you can choose from. You can be an S Corp, you can be a B Corp, you can be an ESOP, you can be a co-op, you can be an LLC, and you just choose from it and operate within that norm. Or are co-ops an alternative to it, trying to turn all of that on its head? And where are you on this spectrum? And I think that the way that co-ops identify risk, depending on where they are on that spectrum, the origin story of where they're coming from is a barrier, but it's not one that cannot be overcome. So I don't know yet, because we're at the beginning of this new strategic framework. I'm still learning about the US co-op movement. I feel new every day, even though I shouldn't say that I'm new anymore. Our executive director is about a year in. She's also still learning as well. I mean, arguably, we're all still learning. And so I would say that the slow work of building relationships and being neutral in the middle is what I think CDF's sweet spot might be here. Listening to both parties and then just being able to reflect back what is the actual middle ground and shared space between them it's so off, like you would think that's obvious, but it's so hard to have someone in the room whose sole role is to just do that. And it can really turn heads if you do that well and carefully and consistently over time.
That's fair. And as a follow-up question, are there things that you've seen in working globally with co-ops that we could learn here in the US, especially in the Northeast where the VAWC is located? Are there like, yeah.
Yeah, really great question. I would say that on that question of this spectrum, that sometimes I think in our country, in the United States, it does tend to fall along political lines too. That like many people want to resolve the issue and have everyone come to an agreement that's somewhere in the middle or somewhere on the side of the spectrum that they're more on. I think that we're in the kind of fight where like we need yes and we need the co-ops that are, you know, don't see themselves as an alternative to capitalism, and we need co-ops that are living and breathing that in every way and everything that they do. We need them all. And we need to have space for that dialogue inside the co-op house. We shouldn't be having that fight outside out there in public. I mean, we can be because it can invite really interesting debates, but we really need to hold space for that at home and have healthy dialogues and debates about and for that within and for and with ourselves at home, and not need to like make it a resolution that needs to be gotten to. I think diversity is needed, including like in all of the ways, including along that spectrum. And I think letting go of the need to see that as a battle that needs to be won or a resolution or a side that needs to be taken is actually what's going to open us up to more creativity and solution building, like hard facts, hard numbers, hard jobs earned, and stuff like that. That's what my time working internationally taught me.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I
Sure.
think that was fantastic.
Thanks for your question. Am I good on time? I want to respect and make sure that I also talk to you about our Co-op Leaders and Scholars program. Is it cool if we go there? Awesome. So in this pillar 1, we want to expand, diversify, and strengthen the co-op community. We want to engage new cooperators, so folks who are co-op curious or ought to be but don't know about co-ops yet. We want to catch them, like all these people who are disenfranchised and disillusioned with other models, or who are looking for something that co-ops respond to, values aligned, principles based. We want to catch them. We want to invest in co-op leaders. Off the record, we want to change what quote unquote mainstream co-op leadership looks like. And of course, we want to celebrate the existing co-op identity and continue to offer ways for the co-op business community to come together through these legacy projects, the Co-op Hall of Fame, which CDF is the custodian of, and then the Co-op 5K, which is coming up on May 2nd. If you like to walk, run, trot, jog, sit in a wheelchair, get pushed, walk your dog, sign up for it. It's fun. So we want to invest in individuals having an opportunity. Awesome, Adam. I see you have the shirt. Very cool. But the spot I want to talk about is leadership. And we're doing that predominantly through a program that we have at CDF called the Cooperative Leaders and Scholars program. And I think that's the last slide. And I like to feel like we're together. So if you want, Adam, you can turn it off. It's up to you. So Cooperative Leaders and Scholars program is our program that helps invest in co-op leaders, new and emerging. So there are different ways to be eligible. Being between 18 and 35 is one. Being new to co-ops is another, and being in school about and for and around co-ops is the third. So any one of those that you might be makes you eligible to participate in the program. It's kind of the crown jewel of our programming. It's everybody's favorite thing to work on. Anytime I get a chance to do CLS, I will drop whatever else it is I'm doing. And it's evolved over the years. It used to be just a 2-day thing that would help people get to conference opportunities. It's now an 8-month fellowship. And it does have a not so secret mission of helping evolve what that mainstream leadership looks like at the movement. We want to invest in and support and build up new and emerging co-op leaders. That's the predominant, number one priority of this program. We want to support the people in it along their co-op career and journey. And we would love it if, as like a positive externality, like a secondary impact that we have through that who the co-op leaders are out there that are known or recognized or get nominated to the Co-op Hall of Fame starts to change and starts to actually reflect who is living and breathing and working and doing cooperation around the country. It's a white glove experience. So if you participate in it, if you're interested in participating in it, if anybody you think should participate in it, we will hold your hand through, like, from thinking about applying through the end of it and being an alumni, including like giving you menu options and letting you know what you're going to eat on which day and how you're going to get from one place to the next and what to wear and things like that. It's very intergenerational, which I think is a really important part of CLS in terms of bridging and building network and having like this family of co-op peers that you become a part of. And we have a heavy emphasis on cross-sector learning and bridge building, weaving, and trying to weave a tapestry together of a more integrated co-op economy across all those different siloed sectors through this CLS fellowship program. And it is open to people in Canada, the United States, and Puerto Rico. This year, we've got 22 participants, including people from Canada, the US, and Puerto Rico. It's the first time that we've had all three countries represented in one cohort. We're really, really excited about that. And what it consists of is, it's 8 months. There is a workshop that is virtual once a month, except for April. Well, there's a kickoff in April that's virtual. And then we have the topics and the content is curated according to each cohort. So every year, where the cohort is coming from, what sectors are represented, what professional expertise is represented, what interests people have when we ask them, applicants, to tell us, hey, what are you interested in learning about? Based on all of that, we curate the content and the topics. And every month you get a 2-hour or so workshop and webinar bespoke. There are alumni speakers that come back. There are co-op leaders from all sorts, and we try to change it up every year. It's different. And there's no homework for those. There is a week in April where you meet all together and visit co-ops, do deep dives into particular topics. You get facilitation and conflict management training there. Usually you build rapport and trust together as a cohort, which is arguably the most valuable piece about participating in CLS. And then in October, we bring you to Washington, and the April week that's in person is roving. So it's a different location each time. We visit the co-op economies. Right now, literally this week, they're all in Hudson Valley, and then they're going to Manhattan. Adam, they're going to get to see you. They're meeting with folks at UHAB for limited equity co-ops. They're meeting with folks from the National Co-op Bank. They're going to a co-op farm. All the meals are like at some co-op, a co-op coffee shop, a co-op grocer. They're getting driven around in New York by Drivers Co-op. Like, it's just co-op heaven for a week. And then in October, everybody comes together again for a week in October. You go to the NCBA's Impact Conference. You get to hike the hill if you want to. You get to go to the Co-op Hall of Fame. You get this one-day course from a university in Canada called St. Mary's that does co-op education, which is amazing. I know, Adam, you can talk a lot about them too. You get a one-day course that they do in person in October. You get alone time with CLS, just you all to do what you want to do together. There's a capstone that you do, and that is you decide what you do with it. It could be a project for work, and very often times it is. So it kills two birds with one stone. It can be group-based. Last year we had a group that did like co-op storytelling and made videos with co-op elders in Hudson Valley, among other places. It was beautiful. I'm talking a lot. I'm trying to evangelize this program to you, invite you to consider applying. I know that the Valley Alliance of Worker Co-ops has this partnership with, is it UMass? It is University of Massachusetts for undergrads to get a certificate. And technically, those people would be eligible to participate in CLS, but I'm here to talk to you all and encourage you to consider whether you might be interested in looking at it, or if anybody that you work with or know might be interested. Because the value, of course, there's education and training in it, there's skill building, but to be really perfectly honest, it is the relationship making between each other and you all as cohort members that is so golden. I mean, we have seen relationships come out of that. There are earlier iterations of CLS that have resulted in people becoming executive director. I mean, we can't claim credit for that. That's their own, blood, sweat, and tears. But we are very proud of the fact that there are alumni who have become the chair of the board of NCBA, and who were the firsts. They were the first this or the first that. In doing so. And we want to continue to see that happen. We want the co-op leadership of the country to reflect the co-op's leadership in co-ops on the ground. And if CLS can help people in their journeys to do that, then, that's the point of the program. Building these relationships with folks we've seen be really, really valuable. Some of them create WhatsApp groups. We're now sort of moving to use Signal instead, but whichever way, like the 2024 and 2025 cohort constantly write to each other about like, hey, I've got this thing coming up at work. Do y'all have this resource? And it's this immediate churn. People are immediately replying, championing, cheerleading each other. And that is really, really exciting. There's a lot more that CDF does. We are here for you. We are here for co-ops in a lot of ways. Adam invited me to focus on CLS, which I was really excited to do. It's easy for me to feel excited about talking about that, but I, would love to continue to hear from you about your needs and be here for you. So please stay in touch. And yeah, I think we have time for questions. I'm going to hand it back to you, Adam.
Yeah, perfect. Hanan, thanks for your energy and your time here. CLS is something that, as someone who's been in the cooperative movement for over 20 years and then also was able to take a master's program, CLS is really great. I've sat in on some of those days. It's really valuable stuff, and I want to encourage anyone here to attend. We have a bunch of people here who are not under 35. We also have people here who have been in co-ops for longer, but I would be really interested to see if there were certain flexibilities we could have just to offer some occasional seats for people who have been participating that long. But yeah, while Hanan's here, I wanted to open it up to any questions that people might have for her. Yeah. Ben, please.
Thanks, Hanan. Yeah, there's a lot of different co-op associations. It's often really, really confusing, especially if you're just a worker. I mean, the folks that are here, the more kind of like engaged people that are really interested in this stuff. So I guess like I'm curious what the difference between like the U.S. Federation of Worker Co-ops, which seems like it's more the Worker Co-op Association, is to CDF, and like, in Massachusetts we have Co-op, which Ethan and Adam and Larissa are involved with too. So I guess that would probably be helpful for some of the folks here that might not know.
That's a great question. Thank you. And yeah, I get it. It can be dizzying. It's like alphabet soup with acronyms. And so yeah, the U.S. Federation of Worker Co-ops is, as it sounds, like the apex organization specifically for co-ops that are worker co-ops, whether that's in health or manufacturing or grocery or textiles or freelance. But they are there to support the needs of the worker co-op typology specifically. So they are going to have different kinds of issues than consumer co-ops, right? Because consumers aren't in the labor of the doing of the business. So they're that's their specialization, their lane. We work really closely with the Federation of Worker Co-ops. They are our partner. Esteban Kelly is an alumni of a previous iteration of CLS. And NCBA CLUSA does what the Federation of Worker Co-ops does, but for all co-ops. They're there for the ag co-ops, they're there for worker co-ops, they're there for consumer co-ops, they're there for banking, finance co-ops. Now, those have their own associations too. The credit unions have their own spaces and they have their own subspaces. The agricultural co-ops as well. NCBA, the idea is that they come together and help fill a role whenever, in particular around policy and advocacy and lobbying work to Congress. So where an alliance of co-ops that's regional to a state or even smaller than a state struggles to get, the audience that they need of congresspersons for the changes that they need. They may not need federal legislation needed. They need their own co-op law in their state changed. That's sort of that lane. But NCBA comes in to support the policy needs that are federal legislation that affects co-ops. They can support at the regional level as well, and they're always constantly watching the way that state-based laws are changing, because those can help folks in other places and they can also help the federal work that they do. But their lobbying work is on the Hill. It's Congress. It's in Washington, D.C. They also focus on issues that affect all co-ops. So sometimes there are federal legislation that comes through the pipeline, like with this, excuse my language, bleep big bill that affected credit unions. The credit unions have their national level lobbying team that took care of that. NCBA was lockstep right there with them, making sure to echo the same things. But they are there to help whenever there's legislation on the docket that could affect all co-ops across the country. NCBA is there to protect co-ops' interests. So that's a big piece of the work that they do. CDF doesn't touch the politics. We don't touch laws. We're like, we don't know. Ask the lawyers, ask the legislators, ask the lobbyists. We are more here to just support the work that you're doing in the trenches. We don't do it ourselves. We are 3 people on staff. None of us are experts in co-op business technical assistance. What we do is redeploy resources out and make it easier for co-ops that need that support to get it. And we support the people who help the co-ops on the ground. So we're more in the doing of the co-op business. And NCBA is more at that policy advocacy level. I see stuff in the chat, so I'm going to catch up with the reading.
Can I ask, you just, you recently have the 2026 cohort. What's the, and then I saw you had an information session back in January for that. What's the timeline for the 2027 cohort?
Great question, Suzette. Thank you. So applications open in December-ish, and they're usually due at the beginning of February. And then we let people know if they've been accepted or not, as quickly as we can. Within 2 weeks of applications being due, we read 75 applications this year, I think, and try to turn it around. I should say that CLS is like a completely sponsored / scholarship thing. So you don't, as an individual, you don't pay. Either your co-op pays for you to come in which case you're sponsored, or you ask for a scholarship, and we do fundraising so that people can participate to do this without having to pay out of their own pocket. Someone's paying for it. It's co-op businesses. So that is something I should have mentioned earlier on, that it's a little different than some of the other professional development opportunities that exist out there where you've got to like figure out that money as an individual. In this case, we're here to support that piece. So yeah, look out for, and I will put a reminder in my calendar that when applications for CLS open and when we have an information session about how to apply, who's eligible, are you considering joining, I'll put a reminder in my calendar to reach out to you, Adam, around December and let you know when all of that's coming up so you all can get spammed about it. Thanks for that question, Suzette.
Thank you.
I do know that Hanan's got something else at 6:30 or 5:30 her time. So I just wanted to give maybe one last question and then we'll try to wrap up because we are at the end of our time. But this is a worthwhile conversation. And just to share a little bit, okay, great. Yeah, I'm really honored to be part of the CLS discussion on Friday. I'll be over there in Brooklyn and it's really exciting to do that. And part of the reason why I was excited to have Hanan on, aside from their experience and energy about our movement, is that VAWC doesn't have a ton of places, especially across sector, where we get to have any kind of voice about what's going on. And because I was asked, I get to talk about VAWC and shared capital, and that's going to be part of what happens. So I'm really thankful to CDF and CLS for that. Last question for Hanan. Last thoughts.
I have one more, if you don't mind. Sorry. Beyond the CLS program and apparently a virtual 5K potentially, since we're up here, what ways can like us as individuals like interact with CPF?
You can come to Hall of Fame, which is like a banquet dinner that honors people who are getting inducted into the Cooperative Hall of Fame. You can nominate someone you're like a co-op hero of yours that you think deserves that national level recognition to become a co-op hero. Full disclosure that the CDF staff have absolutely, like, we do not participate whatsoever in who gets nominated or who gets selected to be a hero. That is done by a selection committee of co-op leaders. We do like help manage the process. That's it's a fundraiser, so there's money to be raised that's attached to that. We're working on we have some ideas around decreasing that barrier for the future. And other ways to be involved on the individual level. I mean, open door policy, like we are always here to any one of us on staff, we are always here to listen to and talk about the real life issues and problems and challenges, as well as opportunities that you're facing in your sector, in your industry, in your typology, at the association, at VAWC, or in your co-op, because it informs our work. We're really informed by the grassroots. CLS is one of the ways that we stay informed in the grassroots as well. So it's an open door policy. Like, I will take time to chat with any of you anytime. It's my job. It might not mean that we have the solution at CDF. It might not mean that there's more that comes that's programmatic, but we are here for it. Another really great way to get engaged at an individual level in national conversations about co-op stuff is through Cooperation Works. And we're very engaged with them. So the individuals engaged there, we're on their listserv. When someone's like, hey, does anybody know about sociocracy and how to do this shit? we hear about that. So that's another like opportunity of support and a different kind of network of support, but it's also something we're listening to constantly. I don't know if that really answered your question, but I will also talk about some of the questions y'all raised. I will gladly nerd out with you on this anytime.
Well, we can definitely continue the conversation. Really appreciative of everybody's time today. And this has been a really wonderful discussion, Hanan. I'm really thankful. Congratulations to our award recipients, and I'll be in contact with them. They all couldn't make it tonight, but I'm really so thankful for everyone who made it. And please follow up with thoughts. We will share the recording and put it up on our YouTube channel. So just let me know if you didn't get that within the next couple of days. And stay strong. Thanks, everyone. Oh, yeah, and I just wanted to share one last thing. Larissa is part of an event that I think it's Levelers Press and Collective Copies is having with members of Collective Copies with the Ruggles Center, where they're talking about cooperatives and cooperative history in Western Massachusetts. Okay, thanks everyone. Hope you have a great day, okay?